All right, we are about 1 minute time to 2 p.m. I just want to appreciate everyone for being here on time. So thank you for joining. Now it's 2 p.m. Singapore time. I'm going to start on time because there's quite a bit to cover and I also want to have more time in the end for any questions you may have. All right, so today we're going to talk about listing preparation for BFCM. And what is BFCM? It is Black Friday, Cyber Mondays, one of the top sales event in Amazon.coms. And then over here, my name is Jun Liang, and I'm the trainer here with the Amazon Seller Education team. And then later on, Rin from the Amazon Global Selling team, our account manager, may join for the Q&A at the end of the session. All right. So to give you a quick introduction of the team I'm in, so Amazon Seller Education actually provides free educations and training like this through a variety of learning programs. You probably know Amazon Seller University, since it's one of the longer programs that we have, whereby they provide a lot of the readable materials and downloadable guides and infographics for you to self-learn. And then the one you're attending right now is Amazon Live Webinar, where you know that we have about 6 to 9 webinars covering different topics conducted across virtually. And then we have recordings as well for any one of you who needs to replay it. So speaking of recording, right, the session that I'm running right now will be recorded and you can find it in the official YouTube channel of Amazon Global Selling. Now, the link is also provided in the email that we share to you as well as on the side of the chat box. So if you miss that out, you can find it easily on one of the emails, and then do subscribe to our Amazon Global Selling official YouTube channel because you will then get notified when I upload all the new recordings. So for any questions, the Q&A box is at the side as well. Do remember to put it in, and then I will try to address every single question that you have before we end the session. Last but not least, as we have ongoing videos, so it's always good to look and view the latest one if you are watching this, and then especially for things like policy, if you chance across any updates, etc., it's best to refer to online resources on Seller University or even Seller Central Help to get the most updated information. All right, these are just some important notice. And this is what we'll be covering today. So regarding on the different steps of how you can be prepared for the peak season, which is the BFCM Black Friday Cyber Monday. All right, so I will go through on firstly the listing. So what are the things that you think you have already done, but you probably have not done it or you missed a few parts. We have another sessions regarding this in more detail, so I won't go into detail, but to give you the gist idea of what are the components of a listing, right? So basically these are the 8 components. All right, and then I also share with you why is it important in terms of this area. So the first one is the product title. Now you all know that it will help your customers to make your informed decisions regarding your product and also to help build up your brand. These are the requirements. Again, I won't go through each and every detail. You can pause it during the recording to run through it. You can also find it on our Amazon help as well. Secondly is I must stress, a little bit more on this, which is the product images. Now you know that all the Amazon listing requires a main product image, right? So that is really important to make sure you have very good high quality main image that allows your shopper to zoom in, to look at the product in a more clear manner because shopping virtually we can't really touch the product like we do on a typical physical store. So having very clear images will help your customers to decide on your product. All right. Now the next part is the bullet points. Make sure you have at least 4 to 5 bullet points that showcase your unique selling point of your products. Right. The next one is your brand. So if you are a brand owner, I would strongly suggest you to go and enroll yourself in Amazon brand registry, right? So that you will be able to leverage a lot of the brand building tools that is available for brand owners, as well as being able to actually showcase your brand on your listing, and also a link to your stores, which I will cover a little bit more later as well. Or the next part is when you scroll down a little bit further on your listing, you can also see a more elaborated description of the product that you're selling. So you should have a lot of description to kind of supplement the bullet points that you mentioned, and then be a little bit more specific. That will help your customers imagine what is it like to use your product. All right, next one I'm going to share is actually A plus content. So this feature is only available if you are registered under the Amazon brand registry, or in a way you're enrolled in the Amazon brand registry, meaning that you have a trademark of your product, and then in your local jurisdiction, on your local trademark officers, and then you will go to Amazon brand registry to get yourself enrolled. Only then you can unlock all these premium so-called A plus content feature. Right, these actually help to make your listing stand out a lot more compared to the typical listing that you see commonly. So with this, right, you can use more rich graphics and even videos to create a better impression of how your customers can use your product. All right, so this greatly, increase the attractiveness of your product. So the next point I want to touch upon is the search terms. So, when you're creating your listing, even when, right now, maybe the next action is you can go and make adjustment to your listing. So there is a portion that allow you to key in your search terms. So you should include the meaningful search term that will help to increase your product visibility of being found when your customer is searching for any product in Amazon.com. So whenever we go shopping online, right, we don't usually really know what exactly brand or things we want to find. We usually go to the search to kind of key in what we think the item we want to find should be like. So remember to take the perspective of your customers on how typically the search terms they'll be using, and that will help to increase a higher chances of your product being found during the in the search results. Right, the last one is regarding this category note. All I like to say it's actually like a filtering available for customers. So when you are creating your listings, there's a lot of these optional fields that you can fill up. So depending on the category you're selling into, there could be different options available. Right, so there are a lot that is so-called compulsory fields that you need to fill it up, but there is also quite a number which is optional. So I would strongly suggest you to fill up as much as possible on all the fields that is being asked from you during the doing your product listing, so that it will appear under all these category notes that will make your product more searchable, because of the way sellers like to go into really filter down and narrow down what they're looking for. So a lot of the time, you might miss out certain features or certain browse node that is available, but you did not fill it up, and because of that, right, any further filtering in this portion, your product may not appear after that. So do remember to complete your listing by filling up all the optional fields as well. All right, so the basics of the listing components that I shared. Now, another important thing I want to share is how we call listing completeness. Over here, there's scoring, which is not more for your guidance on how you evaluate your own listing. So here are the typical, or rather all the attributes that we talked about earlier on. Now you can take one of the listing as an example. So for every feature that you actually use, you can give yourself a score based on what is mentioned here. Now we would typically recommend seller to achieve at least 80 points minimally to each of their listing, to get a score of 80, and then we will see there's this grade here. All right, so in a way, you get a listing completeness grade of A. All right, this is more of a guidance for sellers. All right, so this means that you have actually used and leveraged most of the core attributes. All right, now again, using it is one thing. Now make sure all your informations in the attribute are relevant. All right. So this is in general, there will be negative impact if you have a missing core listings element. Like you do not have a missing search term, you may lose out on the visibility of your product, etc. Similarly to the browse node that I mentioned earlier on. Right, these are just some internal data that we see where in different markets where there is a lot of opportunities where the seller can further improve their listings to get to a better grading of their listing, etc. All right, so a lot of time sellers typically, like you and I may think that our listing is already done, but a lot of time there is still a lot of the gaps and potential that you can improve on your existing listing. Right, this is also another internal data that we got regarding the order volume. All right, we see a lot more order volume for listing that has a A grade that I shared earlier on, meaning that they have about 80 points or 80 scores and above, compared to the rest, what we define as an incomplete listing from grade B to E. All right, I'm going to move on to the next part. So if you have any question on that, remember you can put it on the Q&A box and I will address it before we end the session. Now I'm going to talk about A plus content. Now again, to kind of recap again, to use A plus content, you need to be enrolled under Amazon brand registry, meaning that you need to have your own trademark of your product. And then you will be able to unlock this feature available for the brand owners. All right. So the advantage of the A plus content feature is actually stated here. I won't go through too much detail. So in summary, it does really helps to increase your conversions and it promotes your brand or your product branding, your stories, and also help to communicate your brand values, etc. So these are the quick, I would say, quick tips on how you can make a good A plus content. Now, in the coming session, we also have session that covers in a more detailed content of A plus content topic specifically. So this will be some quick tip for you for today. All right, I'm going to share a summary of how or each of these visualization styles is going to look like. So in total, as of now, I think there is a total of 16 different tiles that you can use available, and then in each of your listing you can combine up to 5, right, in different ways that you see over here. Right, so there's no coding or whatsoever involved, so there's no you don't need to know how to code or do any programming styles. Most of it are fields input, uploading, and drag and drops. Right, we have the banner picture tile, right, for specific purposes. And we also have the different layout on the right side. All right. So I won't touch on too much, but you kind of know the gist of how these tiles can be used. The other way that I would suggest you to also, look at some of these usual brands that you usually shop on. You can see how some of these brands actually creatively use their A plus content tiles to showcase their products, to give yourself a sense of idea on what you can play around with. All right, so this is just to show an example, right? So just to give you an idea, using too many or too few may not be good as well, depending on what product that you are sharing, on how you design the overall look and feel, and also not to use repeatedly the same similar design across your listing. It may be a little bit boring in that sense. So try to mix and match it accordingly with the different tiles and the types of images that you're going to use. Right, again, these are just some example. Now take note that although these are you might need to apply your design styles according to the market that you are in. I know in different Asian market, some market actually have, the shoppers have a different preference in terms of how they view certain details. So do factor that in as well, all right? So the next thing I want to cover is stores. So store essentially means you are building your so-called virtual store on Amazon.com. So with this store page, right, it's essentially like your own website, but it's running on Amazon.com. So you won't have any other ads or any other product or other companies or other brandings that is on your web page in Amazon.com. All right, so on that store page, it is everything about your brand, your product, and your brand story, etc. So how it's going to look like is once you are again enrolled under Amazon brand registry, you will be able to unlock this store feature. It's totally free. All right, so when you create your store, you even have that option to have your own URL like this. All right, so you can have your URL with Amazon.com/ your brand name. All right, so with that, you can also see different insights on who are the people or who are the consumer actually accessing your stores and what's your daily visit, etc. So you'll be able to run your other campaigns that you run off Amazon to actually drive traffic to your specific landing page of your stores. So if you already have this feature, so one thing you can still do right now to prepare for BFCM is to go and start creating your store and design your page. Right, and again, for those who do not have access, you do not need any coding knowledge. And in fact, there is also no way for you to do any coding. So it's really all built up by a page manager where you can pull in the different templates available to help you organize and rearrange the page layout, display, categorizations of what you want to showcase on your stores. All right. So once you're done creating your store, you just got to submit it, and then the store team will actually validate and kind of audit the page to make sure that everything is in line with the store policy, etc., and then it will be published. So these are just some reasons which I'm sure all of you know by right now. What is what is it for you to make your store look great, right? So some examples that I share here. Amazon Basics. Now obviously it's an Amazon brand, right? You can go on and check it out. All right, how they actually make use of the Amazon Basic and make it into a store whereby they categorize different products that they have accordingly on the top navigation. Right, these are just some examples, and I'm pretty sure there are a lot more interesting one that you can find to design the store. So try not to be limited by what you are seeing here. Right, and again, if you think about it, um, on your store, you're gonna bring your customers to your product detail page, right? And if you also use the A plus content to optimize your listing, you can imagine how good the shopping experience is from right where they land to your store to each of your listing. So these are just some consideration for you on how you want to show the brand or rather the style of your brand. So this is for your consideration on how you want to go about doing it. All right, the next few slides is just talking about the points earlier on, how you can use different kinds of angle of image to convey your brand story and to display your product. All right, okay. So the next product or rather listing feature I'm going to share is product videos. So this might be a lesser known feature, but if you have been shopping on Amazon.com, you probably see some of the listings actually can put in product videos to showcase their product. So again, this is only available for a brand owner as well. So we all know the importance of having product videos. It's definitely way better than images. So it's really a good complement of your listing. And what we see over here is that customers who actually watch a video are 3.6 times more likely to make a purchase than those who don't. So you can see it will be more beneficial if you were to invest a little bit more on creating a very impactful and powerful video to showcase your product. So these are the video specs. You can go through it, but I won't talk in too much. You can also search for the specification online on Seller Central Help. Right, so this is typically how it's look like. So there will be a video in one of the image thumbnails segment on your listing, and then the customers will be able to click on it and look at the videos. All right, these are just some tips. Again, this is very creative and design focused. All right, this is just to show that where you can upload your videos. It's actually in Seller Central under inventory, upload and manage videos. All right. Okay, these are just some ideas for you. You can have different product videos that showcase different product features, right? And also typically product that's being used like a lifestyle product, you can use this type of videos, right? For your, brainstorm or idea consideration, all right? So again, try not to restrict yourself in what kind of videos that you should or should not produce, right? All right, so important points to note. So there should not be any third-party advertising allowed or other brand logos in your videos, besides your own logo, of course. Right, and then the content should center on the product selling point or the setup. And of course, there is the rules and regulations that you need to follow as well. So your content, your video content cannot violate any of these law regulations. Right. And then for the music, fonts, etc. that you use, ensure you have the copyrights to use it. All right, the next part, which is the last segment, this is more regarding about how you can improve your brand positions. All right, so this is really important for all sellers who want to be a little bit more established on their online stores. Even applies to your physical store as well, right? So your brand image should align with the brand missions and also articulate the value proposition that your brand is bringing. All right, and then nowadays it's definitely go beyond the product usefulness, product feature. I will show you some example in the next few slides as well. All right, think about, what would one sentence that you would like to kind of encapsulate your brand mission, something you can think about. So this is one of the brand that I'm going to share an example. I'm not sure if you heard of this brand. It's called Furbo. It's a brand that makes smart camera design for dogs, apparently. All right. So, use certain keywords that you want for your brand mission to determine the tones, etc., in your promotional materials and even in your listing or A plus content, etc. So you can see, you can even go and check it out after the webinar. This is how their brand store looks like. All right, and then on the right hand side, this is one of the feature that is also for brand owners. It's called Amazon Post. Okay, this is the one I'm talking about. Yeah, right. This is a bit of like Instagram layout thingy that again only for brand owners who are enrolled under Amazon Brand Registry. All right, the next one I want to share is the Freshly Pick. Right, so this brand is about creating or rather, selling shoes for infant, right? You can see the way they position their brand is really focusing on the infant and the shoe and the lifestyles of typically bags that parents usually would actually use. So I hope that gives you some idea on how you can do that. So this is just a short introduction on the Amazon brand positioning, right? You can start off with your A plus content, developing your brand story for all your product, right? And then moving on, you can start to have your Amazon store created. And then the next one you can do is to generate Amazon posts. You get to be able to generate more traffic with that. All right, so this is a feature of A plus content that you can greatly showcase your brand story. So it's, in fact, really meant for it to the sense that they name it the brand story tile. So this will help you develop your brand story on top of with your content, your mission, etc., in a very prominent way when you use this story tile. All right, and this is the store I was sharing earlier on. What we do see is that customers do spend about 83% longer in a store with more than 3 pages. All right, so even if you want to develop a store page, you can start with a page or two, and ultimately, ideally, you should have about more than 3 pages to keep your customers on your store to look for items that is suitable for them. All right, this is post, the Amazon post I was sharing. So together with this, you can see I put here through a short case here. So this brand leverage their A plus brand story tiles and have a store build up, and also using posts to get more traffic to their page. So since they launched in September 2019, they actually got an average order price per customer increased by 7%. All right, so after more than 2 years, they get more than 90 times of increased page views to their store, right, which is way higher than it first launched. And then the conversion rate also increased by 10 times higher. And again, using the post feature, it also helped to grow their engagement up to 23% in the past, 2 years since they started out in 2019. So you can see how useful, impactful, and powerful to actually combine all these different tools to elevate your brand. All right, so I just want to share some key takeaway before we end the session for Q&A. Now, for those of you here, I know there's quite a couple of you here. If you are already enrolled in the Amazon Brand Registry, now one thing you should start focusing on is to get your A plus content up and ready. All right, before BFCM, because it takes some time for you to design, and then also there is a approval process as well. So you can just put any A plus content and publish it, and get it alive immediately on your page. So there is a approval that takes a couple of days for the teams to vet through the content. All right, and then start thinking about whether you want to develop videos to showcase your product, create a store if you have not done so. All right, and then rewatch the brand story and the positioning guidelines for you, see whether it applies for your business and does it gel with the strategy that you have, and also make use of the Amazon post. Now, for those who have yet to enroll in Amazon Brand Registry, Yeah, something you can do as well is to, still continue to focusing on your listing completeness that I shared earlier on. All right, and then keep optimizing it. And also, again, I would suggest, if you have not enrolled in the brand registry, you should try and get it enrolled, because it comes with a whole lot of the brand building tools that you can unlock, as well as to protect your brand that you have been spending time to build. So with the brand registry enrolled, right, you'll be able to report any infringements if any other seller were to sell a product like yours without your authorizations. You'll be able to have that kind of protection to protect the brand that you spend so much time to build up your business on, right? So last but not least, now this is the peak season. We have a very good one-pager guide from Seller University that you can scan here to get it. And I also share all these links in the video description as well when I upload the video. All right, I have some frequently asked questions that I always got, and I think it will be good for me to share this across to all of you. All right, now the first one is usually, some of the product has model number. Now the common question that we get asked is, are the model numbers recommended in the titles? Right, so we will refer you to the category style guide. Right, so it's best that you have the model numbers appear for some categories, but not all of them. So you can search for the category style guide in Seller Central. Right, that will actually show up some recommendations for different categories, which one you should put in the model numbers and which one you should not. Another one is, do I have to enroll my trademark while listing? Now back to the question is, it is not a must to enroll. Now again, you won't be able to enjoy all the benefits that comes with being registered under the Amazon brand registry, right? You not have all this brand building feature that I shared earlier on. Again, it's not a must, but we will highly recommend, if you are a brand owner, that you have your own brand, have your own trademark, to have a valid local trademark for brand protection purposes and brand building. All right, so in case you need to file any infringement, you will be able to do so. But to note that the trademark registration will take time, and the duration for approval is different for different countries. So you might want to prepare in advance. And then trademark is regional dependent. So if you are selling on Amazon.com and you want to have protection in the North American market, US, you have to file your trademark in US. I think the trademark office is USPTO, if I'm not wrong. Yep. So there's more information you can read about it. All right. So the next common question is, what are the requirements to sell the gated product? So I would suggest you to do your research first, right? And then all these requirements, sometimes it will change from time to time due to the policy changes. So I wouldn't be able to share every single one of it, but it's always good to check it out. We have a page as well that I'm sharing that showcase, what are some of the restrictions, right? So another way is, once you put up your listing, if there's any requirements is required, right, you can see it under account health. So your listing may appear as suppressed, etc., and there'll be a reason that says why is your listing suppressed? Is it because there's no approved documentation or certification required? So that's one of the way. All right, reached the end. So let me look at the Q&A right now. If you have any questions, this is the good time to put it in. All right. So yes, I got a question from Ming. So the question is, are we able to view our listing completeness score grid in Amazon Seller Central? So the answer is no. Now again, this is not a feature. This is rather more like guidelines that we have, where we come up with how we kind of determine a listing completeness. So this is for your own usage. You can see it's not complicated. Hence, it is also not required to have any things that show up. You can pretty much do your own calculation, or by look of how many features that you have actually used, you can know what is your listing completeness score. All right, so that is more like a way to educate and to gear our sellers towards ensuring they have a listing that has all the key elements in to make sure that it covers all area that is visible when search, it's visible when seller is doing any when your customer is doing any filtering of the products, and then when it's the bullet points, etc., to be used. Yeah, I hope that answer your questions. Now you probably have more other questions. If you have any more follow-up, etc., let me know in the Q&A. Similarly, if you have other topics that you think that we should cover but it's not covered, do let us know in the post-webinar survey, because unfortunately, GoToWebinar doesn't allow me to put in a form to get inputs directly from you. So, let me know either on the Q&A box what you love to see in the upcoming session, or even in the post-webinar, or you can even respond to the email that we have shared with you during the confirmation email that you receive. All right, last but not least, just a shout out, we have our up and coming Seller Summit next week on the 11th and 12th of the October at Marina Bay Sands. So if you have not signed up yet, do head on to the first link, first QR code on the top left. There will be a huge banner that you see when you land on the page that you can sign up if you have not done so. And I'll be there. So, if you're there, do let me know. Right, let me see. I'm gonna hang around here for a couple of minutes. So if you have more questions, I'll be more than happy to assist you. Right. Anyone has any more questions? Do remember to sign up. We have more exciting topics coming up, and we'll have more presenters and other Amazon experts to join in the sessions. And we are also looking to have external speaker as well in the coming months. So do subscribe to the Amazon YouTube channel if you have not done so, and also subscribe to our newsletter on the Amazon webinars and event page as well. All right, to watch all the past recording, you can head on to the past recording QR code. So all the recording will be uploaded to official YouTube page before the end of the week. All right, so I don't see any more questions. So thank you everyone for spending your afternoon with me. I really, really appreciate all your time and participation. So once again, my name is Xun Liang here, and I'm from the Seller Education team. So I will see you in our next Amazon Live webinar on the 9th of October. All right, thank you everyone. Have a good afternoon. Bye-bye.